Well, hello and welcome to a special holiday edition of Rams Revealed presented by Sleep Number, the Rams' official sleep and wellness partner. I'm your host, JB Long. As you know, the Rams have won 4 games in a row, and they'll close out the regular season with back-to-back home games at SoFi Stadium against division rivals. First up, the Arizona Cardinals. To talk about all that and to preview Week 17 is a repeat guest. Now he's 27 years of age. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's still Canadian. He's Michael Hoecht. What's up, buddy?
Good to be here, JB. And it's been definitely a couple of years since I've done it, and lots changed since then. But thankfully, still here, still loving playing ball here for the Rams.
Yeah, our setting has changed for sure. How do you like the new digs?
Yeah, I mean, not only is it in Woodland Hills now, but you guys seem to be well set up and slowly unpacking. But no, it's great.
Episode 71 was your first appearance back in October of 21, your rookie season. Now we're in year 4 of the Michael Hoecht experience. Thanks for coming back for episode 132.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like I've played that many games in the meantime.
Does it really?
Too, but well, I mean, it's been every year has just written its own story from, the first year, special teams, Super Bowl, the Matthew Stafford trade, first year of all that, and then slowly transitioning into more of like the outside linebacker role. Last year, getting a lot of play time under my belt, and then, this year kind of putting together this new cheetah package, the rhino package, putting different people in different spots. But a lot's changed since then, but it's been fun.
Do you want to host this show? I feel like you're better at it than I am. Take it away. Where should we go next? No, I'm kidding.
No, I will take care of Arizona on Saturday, and that's pretty much all I'm focused on right now.
Just a couple of guys who bailed on their finance careers to try and make life in the NFL work. It's good to be sitting with you again, Mike. Why don't we start with bare-chested in 20-degree weather? What was that all about? Whose idea was that?
Honestly, I got off the plane. I felt the temperature, and I was like, this feels like a shirt-off game. And so walked out there pregame. So me and Jonah Williams always used to walk the field 2 times before the game, and he was undrafted with me, Peace Squad our first year, made it year 2, Super Bowl that year, have kind of been around. He's over in Detroit now, but that was kind of our tradition before every single game is we would walk 2 laps around the field. And so I kind of used, and I still do it even though he's now with Detroit, but I used that to walk with the shirt off just to make sure that this was going to be all right. So by the time I made it around 1 walk, I was like, all right, we got this. This is fine.
How bad was it?
It really wasn't that bad. Once you get warmed up and you start moving a little bit, and between us, you have some Vaseline on your arms to kind of keep the heat in a little bit. But it's really not that cold once you get going. It's when the sun went down, I think like when it switched from the third to the fourth quarter, I think you could kind of tell on the sidelines, people were starting to get like, all right, we're missing the sun a little bit. Let's turn the heaters on the bench up. But no, once you get moving, it's fine.
I was impressed, not because you were brave enough to do it, but because you were brave enough to stay out there once Byron Young joined you and took his shirt off too. I feel like that's the point where I'm like going back in the locker room, not wanting to be compared to his physique.
Yeah, I mean, we're all used to it because he always has the crop tops going on. But it was kind of a cool moment where I sort of started it, and then next thing you know, all of the outside linebackers have our shirts off, and we're yelling and we're screaming, and it just sort of gave us a little spark to start the game.
Okay, so they took it as a challenge.
I don't know if it's a challenge. I think they just like participating.
I didn't know this, but some of the response on social media cued me into, I guess, teams that do this or players that do this, it often leads to a loss. So on behalf of everyone who enjoys like the cold weather foolishness, thank you for inverting that trend and making it okay for teams going forward to do this.
Yeah, I mean, if I had known that, I probably wouldn't have done it.
I'm sure.
Glad we could flip the script there.
Other reflections, like concrete football ones on the win that was your 9th of the season?
Yeah, I mean, it was sloppy first half. I think defensively is all I'm really going to speak for here because that's primarily where I spend all my time. Other than that 1 snap of tight end in 22. But, we missed some tackles on 3rd down. We were good on 4th down, which is great. And then made a couple adjustments at halftime, came out and really just, I think everybody there kind of had a bit of a realization at halftime that we have a 6-hour flight ahead of us. And if we don't win this game, that 6-hour flight's going to feel like a 20-hour flight. So, from seeing what they were having success on, we wanted to make sure we tackle the checkdowns and then, keep applying pressure. And the more we can just feed Matthew the ball, like they're going to get in the end zone.
How do you clean something like that up in game? Like, it seems so obvious. It's not like you went out there being like, we don't need a tackle in the first half. It's just Aaron Rodgers and the Jets will be fine.
Yeah, I think it's more just being cognizant of where the leaks are coming out of the backfield and taking good pursuit angles, knowing where your help is. Joe Caniglio always tells us good defense is knowing where your help is, whether that's where your leverage is, where your gaps are, and when you're going to make a tackle, there's good missed tackles and bad missed tackles. A bad missed tackle is you miss it and he's outside your leverage. A good missed tackle is you may not bring him down, but you miss to your leverage and somebody's going to be right there to bring him down.
You know those next gen route charts that you see for like Puka Nacua or Cooper Kupp? It looks like just a random plate of spaghetti or something like that. I would love to see one for you on your like week to week defensive alignment. You talked a little bit in passing about how your role has evolved on this defense. Slow that down for us. Describe what you are doing in 2024 for this Rams defense.
It's a little bit of what am I not doing at this point. And I think we just find good matchups and ways that we want to attack their protections. It primarily comes up in the third down world, where we're going to have what we call our cheetah package, and it's me versus BY and then Kobie and Fiske on the inside. And we just get creative. We have our Thursday meetings where we all just kind of talk about how we want to set protections, what their O-line's not good at, what they are good at, different ways that we can force them to have to account for all five of us, but then, drop two of us out, drop one of us out, there was a couple times where Fiske was dropping out and all of us are dropping out and we're just rushing three. So because we're all very versatile and we're all young and, throughout the season, we were kind of figuring out what everybody's good at, what people aren't good at. And we've sort of come up with this package where everybody can do everything and they have to account for everything. And it's hard to sort of figure out, and it's going to change week to week. And it's a really, really fun way to attack offenses.
I agree with you. Still young, but you're the old guy in the group now.
Yeah, it's weird.
How fast did that happen?
Yeah, it happened, it was 2022, and Leonard Floyd was showing me everything that I needed to know, and Terrell Lewis was here, Justin Hollins, and then I blinked, and the room was pretty much all rookies or guys and second-year guys. Mm-hmm. We had a new coach, and then I was kind of the old guy in the room, which, it was interesting for me to sort of take on that role. And, I feel like I had to grow up pretty quickly and start to really understand what it means to not only be in this defense, but also be on the older side of this defense. And then coming back this year, I'm pretty sure I'm the longest tenured Ram who's been here consecutively. So I've been here 5 years straight. And, I've wanted to take that to heart, allow that to be like, if I can help the team just provide any sort of leadership or connection to that 21 Super Bowl team, or just a guy that's been around, maybe not this building, but this organization, and be able to, how does the training room work? How do the weight room work? How does, what's the best way to do meals, the schedule, all the off the field stuff that comes with being in Los Angeles as a big market. That's a lot of value that I can provide that, if I think a year and a half ago, if you asked me like, oh, are you going to be the guy that's going to give all that information? I'd be like, no, I've only been here 3 years. But then all of a sudden people started coming to me for answers, and I had all the answers to those types of questions. And I was like, great, this is a role I can thrive in.
It sounds like you wear that mentor mantle comfortably, hearing you describe that.
Yeah, it's more just a comfortability with this defense, and the terminology has been very similar. And it's just been, I'm also a football junkie, so I'm just going to, try and understand everything more than just memorize it. And I'm going to be able to, and I want to know the intricacies of why we're calling what we're calling, and, just how the defense is really built. I definitely nerd out on that, and you don't necessarily need that to play really well, but it's more just fun for me.
We tap into that nerdiness here. That's what this is all about. I think some have observed that you've got coaching caliber chops. So can we use this moment in time for like some Hoecht breakdowns? Because with these new pieces, your running mates, I just want to get your perspective. Jared Verse so far. What's your scouting report?
Yeah, he's a beast. If you just kind of like, I think I said this after the Minnesota game, but there's certain guys that just pop on tape, and he's one of them. If you'll see better than you hear, and if you just sort of watch him play, snap in and snap out, you're just going to see high motor, long arms, plays hard, and is just learning how to like control all that aggression. And but he's a really, really fun guy to be around. He's extremely loud, always trying to, joke around, always trying to have a good time. And the season gets long, so you kind of need that comedic relief in the room. And he's just a great guy to be around. And then, same thing with BY is, BY and I played all together last year. And if you've seen those clips, he also played with Puka. But he's been around with us and he's been around with me. And, he's really figured out what he's good at. I mean, he ran a 4.4. So, I mean, that dude can roll. And it's fun to see him as an outside linebacker, and he can walk pretty much anybody in the league down. And so I think that's one of like the most elite traits that he has.
You're referencing your underrated sense of humor, let's say, from the mic'd up in New Orleans when you got Jared and you got BY with you on the bench, and the line was, did you know that, BY played with Puka last year, and it was your rookie year, even though it wasn't.
The history was when Verse was mic'd up for the Minnesota game, BY kind of looked at him, and he was just like,
I played with him last year, too. Yeah, I know.
Man, like, I played with Puka last year, and Verse just gives him this look of, yeah, like, I know. And it sort of just became a thing that we would, busting each other about it. And then come the Saints game, knowing I'm mic'd up, I was like, all right, hey, I played with Puka last year, and it just kind of like snowballed into this thing. So I imagine at some point when BY's mic'd up, it'll happen again.
You stuck that landing.
Yeah.
You delivered it. And I love that you guys are in on the jokes too. Like, I know you don't read all your press clippings. You don't have time for that. You don't care for that. But that you ingest our content and that it matters to you and it kind of becomes part of your narrative. That's what makes, I think, the Rams great.
Yeah, it's fun. And, I think with our room, especially because we're young, we want to have as much fun doing it as possible. And it is kind of cool that, typically you would have 2 outside linebackers on the field, but we're just like, nah, we're going to put all 3 of the outside linebackers on there. And it is pretty fun.
I think your Mohawk got some good run during that mic'd up as well, but it's no longer.
Yeah, no, I'm back to bald. It was a nice little quarter week, part of the season, something fun, break up maybe the monotony of that middle part, but now it's time to get pretty for the playoffs.
You talked about the edges. I know they're not in your position group room, but they are, your teammates up front. Can I ask about Braden Fiske first and then Kobie Turner? When Fiske was drafted, there was that narrative that he's a force multiplier for Jared. Have you seen that in actuality?
Yeah, definitely. We pair them together all the time. And, we'll call some of our stuff just Seminole or whatever. And it changes all the time. So I can say that, don't worry. Yeah. But, that's just kind of when they're, sort of working together. But it's cool. They just kind of like feed off each other's energy. And, our outside linebacker room's so connected to the defensive line room that it is kind of helpful to have those 2 guys have that connection as an easy, olive branch to sort of bring us together. But yeah, they have great chemistry. They're fun to be around.
And then Kobie, I think we were all curious to see, all right, we saw what it looks like in the last year of the Aaron Donald era. What about when he's the guy that has all the attention? And it looks pretty much the same. He's getting similar results.
Yeah, he's, so technically savvy with his hands. I was telling you a little bit before, we started recording that just one of my things that I love doing after the games is just watching every single person on every snap and just watching the technical nature of how he's putting his hands, where he's putting them, why he's putting them in different spots. It is really, really cool to see, especially out of a young player. A lot of respect for him.
I remember how much you revered Aaron, even in your pre-draft college free agency process. I remember you talking in great detail about what he meant to you as an up-and-coming prospect. Even after he's gone from this facility, do you still feel his lasting impact in ways like that?
Yeah, well, 2 weeks ago he was in there working out, so he definitely just has a lasting impact around.
Hold on. I want to make sure
that's not a thing. But
2 weeks ago, Aaron Donald was here working out.
He does come by every now and then, but no, he is retired, and I'm pretty sure it's staying that way. But his presence is all over the place. For us that played with him, he was sort of like that. Culture leader of the team, and just you would look at him and he was just one of those guys that his presence in the room is like, all right, like I'm gonna go lift a little bit more, I'm gonna go do a little bit more, I'm gonna go try a little bit harder. And that was one of the things outside of just all the production on the field. That the best ones make everybody else around them better, and he just had that aura about him.
Yeah, kudos to you and a few others for carrying that forward too, for kind of taking that torch and running with it. Tell me about the defensive turnaround here in 2024. The first month of the season was one thing, and then I think the rest of the year has been something different. What are some of the ingredients that's led to the improved performance?
I think at the beginning we were trying to figure out what everybody's good at, and there was a little bit of, we're a young team. A lot of us are new. A lot of us are rookie contracts, and with Shula as a new DC, I think there was a bit of an adjustment period between figuring out, all right, how are we going to stop the run from maybe the old days when we had Michael Brockers, Aaron Donald, Greg Gangs, Sebastian Joseph Day, Morgan Fox, like some of that, Ashawn Robinson, some of that group, and how we would play defense there, and now morphing it to this younger, maybe a little bit faster, maybe a little bit more immature, but more fun. And it's just, it took a little adjustment for us to figure out how we wanted to call and what we're good at. And once we sort of figure that out, I think we just started leaning into it. We weren't going to try and morph our defense, or we weren't trying to morph our players to our defense. We're just going to morph our defense to our players. And, from there, now everybody's really comfortable in the roles that they have. And it's exciting because every single snap, you're like, oh, I'm doing something I'm really good at. This is a lot more fun to do it that way.
Mike, how much credit does Chris deserve for that? Because to be a first-time defensive coordinator in this league is challenging enough. And then it's like, hey, would you like this job? Sure. Oh, one caveat, we're going to take the greatest defensive player of all time away from you. And you got to make it work with a bunch of those rookies, a bunch of those undrafted players that you mentioned. Can you go do it?
Yeah, I mean, he deserves all the credit in the world. It's so cool to see like how creative he's calling plays and how many different looks and opportunities that he can give people. And what I think he does a really good job of is he really explains the why behind things. So guys just aren't doing things for the sake of doing them. They're doing them because they know that every step that they take, every hand placement, every where your eyes looking this way versus this way, there's a reason behind all of it. And there's a reason behind why we're showing this, why we're doing this. This is setting up for, this game 2 weeks from now. We need to show this. We need to put this on tape so that we can call something else. And there is a grand scheme. There is a grand plan that I think he's really, really good at. And, he's been successful at it because he's coached pretty much every position on this defense at some point. And so he knows how to speak outside linebacker. He knows how to speak DB. He knows how to speak inside linebacker and D line. And he knows how to connect with those guys. And he knows how hard it is when coaches ask you to do something that is really, really hard, but it is for the betterment of the team. And he knows like sometimes you got to tough down, but we need you to do it. And, and he knows how to convey that information really well. And it's just been awesome playing for him. Love it.
How much have those newcomers motivated you? I'm not sure that's the right way to phrase that, but I have in my mind's eye, like watching you in the offseason program and being like, okay, a couple years in a row now, they've tried to draft the future of the outside linebacker position, and that old dog, Michael Hoecht, just won't give way. Like he wants that job still.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of life in the NFL. You can't take it too personally. How I feel about myself and my game is always just going to be how much effort and how much, self-satisfaction can I get? Do I feel good that I'm doing things the right way, playing hard, and playing really good football? I'm just like, more than anything, more than stats, more than anything involved that people maybe evaluate is just, I want to play really, really good, perfect football. And football is an imperfect game. It's an impossible thing to do, but I want to try and get as close to it as possible. How sound can it be? Is there a reason why I'm doing everything that I'm doing? And, it's a maddening thing to try and perfect what is so imperfect, but it's what's gotten me this far. It's what's going to keep me going. And I love it. Like I love the understanding the process behind everything that's going on. And I know that the results will take care of themselves.
Objectively, you've overachieved. Do you agree?
Yeah,
Does it feel that way?
Yes, but I mean, I can't like look backwards. I've never been able to do that.
Okay.
It's always just sort of been the next goal. And for us, it's Saturday against the Cardinals, win that game, secure a playoff spot. And that's all that really matters for that moment. And for this week, starting today, I just got out of the sauna. I'm still kind of sweating. And the whole time in the sauna, you're just thinking like, all right, Arizona Cardinals, Arizona Cardinals, Arizona Cardinals. And once we take care of that, we can handle the rest.
Don't worry, I'm going to get there, but I want to linger on this for just a second because you've made it to this point, and if you're able to look forward at least, I'm confident you're going to get another deal in this league like your tape says that you will. where are you in that process and what 25 might hold?
Honestly, I try not to give it too much thought. If you start worrying about what the future holds, like it's going to just cloud. You're thinking about the Arizona Cardinals on Saturday. And so, when the spring comes around, I'm sure my agent and, everything will be able to figure it out. We'll work through it then. But I'm having too much fun right now to worry about it. And, I'm loving being here. It's like, in my opinion, it just has to be the best place in the world to play football. I mean, look at the weather where we played yesterday and look at the weather today. We're practicing in shorts tomorrow. They're definitely not, or they're in the indoor. And we've just got like great culture here and great coaching staff. And, I don't want to like miss out on anything that I have here because I'm looking forward and looking ahead. So I really just want to be where my feet are. And again, take care of the Arizona Cardinals on Saturday.
Well said. I mean, bravo. But it means so much, knowing you throughout this process, because I remember the first show, and I encourage everyone to go back and listen to that again. Like, here's a guy who held his own pro day virtually. You remember shooting
that was a weird time.
Your iPhone and editing your own 40-yard dash? Yeah.
So, I'll give you the abbreviated version,
Sure.
But COVID happens, scouts all off the road, agent calls, hey, you have an undrafted grade. Scouts aren't going to be around. Your pro day's canceled. Not really sure what we do here. This could be the end. It might not. So hang up the phone. And I'm kind of like, man, that kind of sucks because I wasn't really looking for other jobs. I was sort of hoping this NFL thing was at least going to get me through the summer. And then, so that was maybe a couple hours. And I was like, all right, I'll just figure this out. So at the time I still had a couple of roommates living with me at college, and we were finishing up classes virtually. And so we just went to the park, set up an iPhone on a tripod, and we recorded every drill we would do at the pro day. We did, all the drills that you would probably do. We were going online on YouTube and looking up some of the best pro days and picking those drills and pick and choosing. And we just put together a big package of tape and film and highlights and body comp and a video of us in our living room, and the only weights that we had, because all the weight rooms were closed, were just half empty kegs. And so we're just like doing bicep curls with kegs and squats with backpacks full of rocks. And it was just kind of like I don't know, the whole world's crazy right now. We're just going to figure this out. And we sent it out to as many people that would put eyeballs on it. And it turned out, the Rams, they saw it, they liked it, they took a chance on me, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
2 questions. Do you still have those clips on your phone, and can you airdrop them to us before you leave?
I definitely can. There's definitely some good ones in there.
I want to call you like one of the most improved Rams that I can recall, but it's almost tough to pin that down because where have you improved? You've played just about every role along the defensive front and continued to widen out. But here's the other thing too is I don't want to lose sight of the fact that you're also like one of the most improved in terms of popularity with the fan base. Like, I think our audience has really grown to understand and appreciate what has been asked of you and your willingness and ability to do all that. So good on you.
Yeah. I don't do a ton of media, so, and I, don't have a lot of socials. So I kind of very much like to stick to football. But for the most part, I've really just in the last couple of years really like just come to love Los Angeles. Like, I've loved every part of it. And, for them, if that's, coming across in just my play style and, my energy at the stadium and how excited I am to show up every day at work, that's awesome. But yeah, we've got, so I actually do have something on our fan base because, I do hear sometimes, especially when opposing fan bases travel to SoFi well, you start to hear like, oh, does Los Angeles have, a fan base? It's like, here's my point on this. All right. Los Angeles is a giant city, and there are a ton of distractions. There is Hollywood, TikTok, there is, the music industry. There's, a million different other sports franchises. And our fans on Sunday still choose to drive to SoFi Stadium through all the traffic, through all the parking, through that bus lineup as you're leaving the stadium. All those people care enough to still make the trip down and come support us. That is dedication that a lot of other cities don't have to deal with. Our people still come, our fans still come. There's other fan bases, Green Bay for just an example, not calling anybody out, but it's kind of Green Bay Packers, and cheese. Like, it's pretty easy to go to Lambeau all the time and go support your team. Us, we have to deal with a lot more. And, I'm very thankful for all those people for spending all that time and coming out there.
Thank goodness that mic is nailed down to the table.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'd be on the floor right now. Yeah. One way that I see that, and I didn't even think of this until this morning, is that foam finger over my shoulder.
Yep.
Like, one of the ways you've ingratiated yourself with
kind
the
of familiar.
fan base. How about that? You and I were just talking about this in the elevator in San Jose, in fact, before that 49er game. Like, hey, that LA sign after the sack, that week 18 win, like, that's an indelible franchise-defining moment in a rivalry game. I love that you've embraced that, Michael.
Yeah, and it's just fun, and especially against the Niners. Like, we've always just had this head-to-head with the Niners, going back my whole time that I've been here. And I was thinking about, the first time I did it, I was thinking about it when we were in the hotel, and we were actually going, I think I was coming up the elevator, and I was like, that sounds pretty awesome if I do it. So then, I was just, the whole game, I was just like, go get a sack, do it. And it happens fast. And I, do it. And I was just like, after the game, I was just like, it was one of those cool moments that I'm glad happened.
Yeah. What about those Arizona Cardinals? You've referenced it a few times, how laser focused you are on Saturday nights. The Cardinals got you. And it was an embarrassing week too. I get it for all of us. And then Kyler Murray, a unique challenge and one that you've seen several times in this league.
Yeah. I mean, dynamic quarterback, very, very, like, way faster than you think he is. You watch him on film and he's fast, and then you see it in person and he's even faster than you think. But for us, and what I think we've all sort of taken this mentality of is that it's not about the person, it's not about the other team. It's about, can we execute our stuff the best we've ever done? And, can we put together the most complete game of defense that we can, and just continue to, play good football, play sound football. And, if we can keep Kyler Murray in the pocket, shut down the run game, but this is nothing new. That's every team you play in the NFL, and then win on third down. That's just how you win football games as a defense.
Remember that time you were a calculus tutor in the Ivy League?
I do.
What's the more complex task, like breaking down the Rams clinching scenarios for week 17, Ivy League calculus, chasing down Kyler Murray?
Well, I would say chasing down Kyler Murray only because ChatGPT could probably solve the other ones for you. But I mean, they all provide their own unique tasks. I've seen some of your tweets just about what teams we need to root for, what teams we don't need to root for, and the common wins versus that stuff just above my pay grade.
Well, that's what I spent all of my flight home last night doing. Let's get to the wind down, brought to you by Sleep Number. Each week here on Rams Revealed, we get insight into how sleep and recovery impacts performance in the National Football League. I trust that you are not spinning your wheels, wasting time pursuing all those avenues. What did you do on the 5.5 hour flight home last night?
Two things mainly. Like, one, whatever flight I'm going to do, and I alluded to it earlier, but we have the all 22 on our iPads for the flight home, and I pretty much watch every single player on every single snap, offense, defense, special teams, more just to, like, appreciate football and what we do, and what goes well, what doesn't, and just sort of try and understand the game as best I can. But the other fun part of that is there's a lot of stuff that happens in a game, and a lot of stuff non-football related, funny things that happen on the sidelines. Somebody, a football hits a security guard, which isn't funny, but it is funny to see on tape sometimes. So all the little things like that, I always like to dig into. And, when we're back on the plane, especially after a win, everybody's up with their iPads. We're showing each other plays. We're sort of talking football, teaching each other stuff. And it's just a really, really good way to spend, the 45 minutes while they load up the plane. And for us, a 6-hour plane ride coming back, and everybody's just talking shop. And then there is going around, and I know no free ads either, but there's a college football retro bowl game for that, like, this iPhone. And I swear, like, 20 people are playing it concurrently at the same time. It seems to be the game of the season. And so everybody's just kind of doing that right now.
Are you dialed into the college football playoff at all?
Yeah, I've watched a couple of them.
Okay. Part of the reason I asked is because Ivy League champion is going to participate in the FCS playoffs. You saw that headline.
It's about time.
And then I was going to go back and say the first part of the answer you gave there, it sounds like the most fun version of Pro Football Focus, what you do on the plane.
Yeah.
They had Alaric Jackson among the highest graded Rams in the win over the Jets. How did you see it? Do you want to give like a Rams player of the game from your all-22 study?
I mean, it's a team sport, and everything, requires everybody else around. And Alaric obviously played awesome. He plays awesome most weeks. He's very, very good. But I mean, the play of the game was the Higbee touchdown. It just has to be. I mean, if you watch the all-22, if you watch him get in the end zone, don't watch the people on the field. Watch the sideline. Watch, everybody sprint off the sideline. Everybody's doing the big rig. People are just going absolutely nuts. As soon as he scored that touchdown, everybody was like, game over. This is ours. And it was just, it was the moment of the game for us.
Yeah, Sean said it was the happiest he had ever seen a team for an individual to score.
He's just such an emotional leader for us. And he's just, he's a guy that everybody wants to play hard for. Everybody wants to have success. He's just an all-time glue guy in the locker room. So, anytime those guys have success, everybody's like, that's our guy. That's our tight end.
Yeah. Nice to bounce back from missed PAT and clinch that thing on special teams too. I know you have not forgotten or abandoned your special teams roots. In fact, a couple of blocked extra points this year yourself. So keep it up. All right. Last thing. You ever watch Tosh.0?
I have, yeah.
Okay. You remember like the web redemption segment?
Oh, God. Yeah, I do.
Okay. All right. So here's a little Rams revealed web redemption from Michael Hoecht. You know where I'm going with this?
Am I doing another? No, I don't.
Okay, good. I'm glad that it hasn't weighed on your mind. But we asked you about Varsity Blues the last time you were on the show. And that's kind of a humble brag. You're like, I'm too young. I haven't watched that movie. But there's a connection to Brown University that we wanted you to dig into. Have you seen Varsity Blues since we last spoke?
I have seen it.
You get the connection.
Yes,
now.
I get the connection now. Yeah.
Okay, he's trying to make it out of West Canaan, and he's got this scholarship offer to Brown.
Yep.
So he is, Mox is a Brown Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Honorary member.
All-timer.
Merry Christmas to you, buddy. Do you have anything on your wish list besides that Cardinals thing that you referenced?
You knew exactly what I was going to say. Cardinals win on Saturday, but no, pretty low key. And my family and I, my parents have done a really awesome job that whenever the season ends, we'll go back to Toronto and we'll kind of do our Christmas then.
Oh, nice.
Because Santa's able to go visit us, whenever he needs to. North Pole is quite in Canada. It's a quick flight. So usually when we wrap up the season, we'll go, and we'll do Christmas after with my brother and my family and do it all then.
All right. Well, we wish all of the Hoyts a very Merry Christmas in the middle of February.
Awesome.
Good deal.
Thanks, JB.
Thanks for coming back to Rams Revealed. For Michael Hoecht, I'm JB Long. Do not forget to join us if you can. Saturday night, prime time, Arizona Cardinals, SoFi Stadium.